Are you ready? Stand by.
Welcome to the 3Gun Show, your source for technique, strategy, and match recon, brought to you by Armalite Rifles, LAG Tactical, and Breda Shotguns. I'm your host, Dave Hartman. This week, I'm joined by Jeremy Moore of Shooter Source, North Texas Multigun, Triple C Range, and Match Director for the Vortex Shooter Source 3-Gun Championship. And we give a little preview of the upcoming Vortex Shooter Source match, which will be held on April 20th through the 22nd near Fort Worth, Texas. And then Jeremy sort of takes over the podcast, and I end up giving a behind-the-scenes look at the 3-Gun Show. This podcast is brought to you by LAG Tactical. I've been using LAG gear for 3 years now, and I just got an upgrade into their new for 2018 MCS mag pouches. MCS stands for Modular Carry System and is a two-piece design that fits most double-stack 9 and 40 mags and most AR mags. That means I can loan gear to someone in need on the range, even if we're shooting different guns. I've been using these pouches for many matches now, and they've been great. I like that you can choose the retention based on what is required by the stage, Speed Demon or locked in tight. I've been shooting the low-cut Supernova holster as well, and it has been a dream. They make it in a mid and high cut too if you're into that, but I'm digging the low cut, super fast draws, and plenty of retention when you need it. Check them out, lagtactical.com, and use code 3GS in all caps to save yourself 10% when placing an order. This podcast is brought to you by Breda USA, Italian shotguns that are the best in the world. And this is a shotgun tech tip from Team Breda. Hey, this is Dave Hartman for the 3-Gun Show, and we have Josh Tarrant of Team Breda, and he's here with a shotgun tech tip for you. Josh, what do you got?
Today we're going to talk about shotgun stance. Stance is incredibly important to be able to shoot a shotgun well, manage recoil. So first up, we're going to start at the feet. You want your feet wider than shoulder width apart. If you're right-handed, you want your left leg further forward. You want about 75% of your weight on your left leg, weight over the balls of your feet. You want to have a nice forward lean of your spine. Shoulder the shotgun, roll your shoulder forward to cradle. And that'll help you ride the recoil and get back on target faster.
That's another shotgun tech tip with Josh Tarrant from Team Breda. Thanks, Josh. Check out Breda's B12i 3-gun ready inertia-driven shotgun at bredausa.com. That's BREDA. We have a brand new review in iTunes that showed up today, and I'm going to share it with you here. This one is from Jason Locke, and Jason says, favorite podcast, hands down, 5 stars. I enjoy listening to the 3-Gun Show podcast and look forward to each new episode every week. If you are not interested in becoming a smarter, better shooter or learning the many nuances of what it takes to play within the sport of 3-gun, then this is probably not going to be the podcast for you. By subscribing and listening to Dave and his many informative guests, I feel like I am able to keep my trigger finger on the pulse of what is happening in not only the world of 3-gun, but also in the firearms industry as a whole. It is an excellent way to stay current, learn a ton, and have a few laughs along the way. Also, the huge benefit you receive from the bonus content you'll get after joining the Patreon group is well worth the small cost of supporting the show. 5 stars, 2 thumbs up, and thanks, Dave, for making this available. Jason Locke, Nashville, Tennessee. Boom! Ladies and gentlemen, that is how you write a review. Holy cow, Jason, thank you so much. I'm going to print that one out and send it to my grandma. If you want to leave a review of your own, you can do so at 3gunshow.com/iTunes, and you can join the Patreon group. Well, you will get access to Match Recon's bonus podcasts, and you can do so at patreon.com/3gunshow. Also, there's a private Facebook group that Jason's a member of as well. Thank you, Jason, for helping to support and spread the word about the 3-Gun Show. As Match Director of VS3G and North Texas Multigun, as well as the owner of Shooter Source, Jeremy Moore is no stranger to putting on great matches and the topic of entrepreneurship. We start this one off talking about Jeremy's big match coming up, but then Jeremy takes over and we get deep into the topics of entrepreneurship, self-improvement, self-discipline, and somewhere along the way, we throw down a burpee challenge. So enjoy this one with Jeremy Moore. Jeremy, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me again.
Dude, it's great to have you. So it's been a while since we chatted on the show, but we've talked offline a few times here in the I guess in the off season and in the preseason here. But you're already spooling up for the year. Your big match is coming up in just a couple weeks. Is it all hands on deck? Everybody panic time yet?
No, actually, I'm ahead of schedule, to be honest with you.
Nice.
Yeah. I actually spent the last 3 days doing all my scheduling, the behind the scenes admin stuff down to, people don't know it, I walk around with a schedule in my pocket that, like the day of the match, it's like, okay, at 7 o'clock, it's this. And at 7:20, it's this. And they're probably broken down in 15-minute blocks. And I've literally sat down and done that schedule today, actually, right before we got on the phone and got that finished up. So I'm actually running several weeks ahead of schedule as far as planning and what needs to be done.
Nice. So as we record this, we are, 3 weeks away from the Vortex Shooter Source 3-gun. And once again, being held at the Triple C range in Crescent, Texas, which is a badass range, working cattle ranch, also lots of shooting opportunities available. And you guys have done some improvements since I've been there and some new programs. You've opened it for general membership.
Yeah, we opened it for general membership like 2 weeks after Vortex last year. So that would have been, right around May.
Yeah, okay.
And, we made a lot more improvements to it, added more shooting lanes. Right now we've got, 13, about to be 15 rifle lanes, and they're personal individual lanes that go, depending on which lane you're on, they go anywhere from 200 to 2,000 yards with a target every 100 yards on every lane. So it adds up to currently 132 targets downrange.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you come back, you're going to take a double take and think, am I in the same place, you know?
Yeah, no kidding. That's not your average rifle range.
No, I kind of, shooting as much 3-gun as I have in the past, I kind of took the good and the bad from different ranges I saw, and I wanted everybody to have their own personal lane of target. So, to kind of paint a picture, when you pull up to a shade structure, they're like 15 by 15, that's yours for as long as you're there, and that you have your own lane of targets directly in front of you. So nobody else is shooting yours, and you're not shooting anyone else's. And I wanted to go overboard on it, honestly, and kind of ask myself, what would I want, and do that. So I'm pretty stoked the way it's turned out, and we're adding something new almost every week.
Dude, that is badass.
Yeah, buddy.
Coming from, I don't know, I guess my experience, is in private ranges, but a lot of times they have like one firing line and you're like elbow distance away from the dude next to you. And then you got to shut down the entire line to go place a paper target. And usually it's only out to like 100 or 200 yards or something. So that's pretty awesome.
Well, thanks, man. It's a lot of pre-planning went into it, but I'm stoked the way it's turning out so far.
Very cool. Well, and that's probably one of the, I don't want to say one of the only places, but it probably suits Triple C very well because there is just a ton of room out there and a ton of distance for bullet impacts.
Yeah, there is. It's a huge place, and kind of lends itself to. I mean, you can have a lot of people here and then not feel like it.
Yeah,
because everything is so spread out.
Yeah, you don't even know it.
Yeah, you're coming to Vortex, right?
I am coming to the Vortex match, the Vortex Shooter Source match, and I'm pumped about it. So I'm also looking at round count. I'm looking at ammo requirements. And I'm here to pick your brain for some insider information. Like, what can I expect? Like last year, blew my mind at the number of targets, the distances we're shooting pistol and slugs at, the distances we're shooting rifle at. We shot 605 yards with the rifle, and ran 605 yards on every other stage. So, what's in store for this year?
A lot of the same. We're not doing the driving course again. That got played out last year. So, it was fun, but I don't want to repeat that.
Sure.
Lots of running, lots of shooting, zero movement for no reason. There's always something to do, shoot and move, or dump or transition. What else? I'm trying to think if there's got a shoot house this year.
Oh, you
That's
do?
one thing. Yeah, that's the only stage that we're doing in the bays.
Okay.
But it takes up 2 complete bays because there may or may not be turned over cars that you're running around and through. And that particular stage actually, I believe, is 32 pistol and I had to look at it. I think 58 rifle.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a hose fest.
You're going to make me do a mag change.
That or go buy one of those D60s or Surefires.
Yeah, I tell you what, I got one of those D60s at the Magpul Governors match last year, and I've been using it almost exclusively ever since, just because I can, and almost as like a ridiculous protest because I think it's kind of silly to have a D60 in TAC Ops, but if we're gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. So, but I like triple taps, Jeremy. You know, I like the little bit of insurance. So you're gonna make me you're gonna make me double tap everything.
Yeah, so we got, that and a couple new towers we're going to be climbing, or maybe towers, not the right word, platforms.
Okay.
Climbing platforms. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it. Like I said, I've changed it up a little bit this year. Instead of me spending the month prior building everything, the staff is gracious enough. They're coming out the weekend. They should be here 7th and 8th to build the stages. So that'll definitely take a load off.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, so are your staff's coming out to do that, then what are they shooting, like the 14th and 15th?
Yeah, so I like to let them shoot the weekend before.
Just
less vacation time they have to have, and it kind of gives them a break. That way they don't finish shooting in the middle of the night on Thursday night and they got to get up and put a smile on their face on Friday morning. Kind of lets them recuperate. I just found that normally, turns out better. Better customer service, better experience, and we're fortunate enough to have that liberty here to be able to do that.
Yeah, there's enough room where you can set big stages up and leave them up.
Exactly.
Got it. So then they're shooting on the 14th and 15th, and then stage walkthroughs are like the 19th of April, and then the match is the 20th through the 22nd, right?
Correct. Yeah, stage walkthroughs on that Thursday from I think 10 to 5, something like that, and then hammer day on Friday morning, and we should wrap up. The last 2 years, I think we've wrapped up shooting around 11:30 at the latest.
Yeah, pretty early. Correctly.
Yeah, and I know some people are already starting to leave around 1:30, so I'm going to stick to that same program. We're adding in a few events Friday night and Saturday night that we haven't done in the past, and trying to make it more of an event, more of a social gathering. Friday night we're doing I just call it like a 2x4 team match because I don't know a better name for it, but it's you pick a team member, and there's going to be a 2x4. I think I said it like 10 yards or something like that, and you'll be on the clock, and your goal is whoever can chop that 2x4 in half the quickest with whatever gun you choose to use.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm all about breaking stuff, and I'm all about gaming things. So I've been thinking about this one a lot.
Oh, I know. I've been getting messages. It's like, which way is the 2x4 facing? Like the nearest, the 2-inch side or the 4-inch side? And my reply has always been yes. Oh, come on. And I'll just reply again, yes, because the truth is, I don't know.
Right.
I haven't even thought about it much, to be honest with you. More than likely, it's going to be the 4-inch side because you put 2 guys offset, they're probably going to be able to see the sides of it, so you're not really gaining anything.
Yep.
We're going to do that. We're going to do a night driving course, jump in a couple of Rangers, and take off from there. And we got a driving course here on property that's about a half a mile long that we normally run in vehicles, but we're going to run them in Rangers this time.
Sweet.
So, yeah, bring your white light, or if you got nods, you're welcome to use those. It's about a half mile long, and I think it's 15 or 16 targets. And pretty much all that's happening Friday night, and it's $5 per run to do that.
Oh, wow.
Or our team match, or we'll have hamburgers and hot dogs, and it's like $5 a plate. But the cool thing is all that money's going to We Defy. That's not going in the match budget or anything like that. That's more of a fundraiser night. And so is Saturday is a fundraiser night for the big dinner, and the dinner's free, and the games are free, and the beer's free, courtesy of Weber Tactical. And then, but we're going to have some raffles that night as well. So just trying to raise money for a good cause.
Cool. Well, so I got to run the We Defy run and gun last year, so I'm familiar with We Defy. But for those listening that are not, can you describe what the charity does, maybe what their goal is?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're a local charity headed up by two friends of mine that are both veterans. One of them's a triple amputee, and the other one's just pretty much an all-American, just badass. And the purpose that they serve, and I met those two guys through the MMA gym that I work out at. And the purpose of We Defy is helping disabled vets kind of rehabilitate or have a fit back in life, being part of something. So they sponsor a lot of disabled vets so they can go to, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym, or they can work out, or they can belong to something and kind of get rehabilitated, which I thought was really cool. And I'm usually pretty leery when I hear charities and stuff, because you never know how much is actually going to a cause.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I talked to these guys, we talked about doing a special event for them, and I was like, yep, no problem. I got one contingency, though. They're like, what? And I was like, I want to see your books. I want to know what goes into the charity. I want to know what I'm putting my name on. And they're like, they're right there on the table. Help yourself, And I was like, cool. So it's pretty much 100% goes back to the charity. Nobody really draws a paycheck from it, and it's just some really stand-up people. And so I try to help them as much as I can.
That's cool. So there's events Friday and Saturday. Friday night, we're going to be chopping through a board. We're going to be doing night riding, night shooting, which is always a good time. Something you can really only do in Texas.
And we're breaking out the Barrett 50 Friday night as well.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so we'll be doing some of that stuff.
So bring those $5 bills out.
Bring the $5 bills out. Yeah, it's for a good cause. Like I said, the match is covering all the expenses for that night, but all the money's going to We Defy. So same thing with mulligans. If you've been to my match, we sell mulligans. They get all that money. So we do. I think last year we were able to write them a check for, I forget how much. It was close to $7,000 or $8,000.
Wow.
Just because of all the generosity of people buying mulligans and all that kind of stuff. So I was pretty happy to be able to give that to them.
So how does the mulligan work?
So the mulligan, you can only buy them Friday morning on your first stage. And you can only get one. Now I can't stop people from selling them to their buddy at an inflated cost, and I'm sure it happens, but I don't want to hear about it, because I don't want that to happen. But you only get one, and it's basically a piece of paper. You stick it in your pocket. If you tank a stage, or if a gun goes down, or for any reason other than a DQable offense, you want to reshoot a stage, you just stop where you're at and you say mulligan, and you give your paper to the RO. At that point, you get to reshoot that stage. Now, you have to do it before you hit approve on the iPad, because I don't want to finish a whole squad and then all of a sudden 6 people are like, hey, I want to reshoot it because I need to beat somebody else's time. That'll drag everything out. So,
right.
Then this year what we're doing is, if you do not use your mulligan, you turn them in at the beginning of the awards. They go into a raffle, and you get something. We'll pull something out of the prize table, and you get to pick that. So
sweet.
Kind of and it's going to be something, probably close to the $1,000 value. So it makes you really think, do I want to use it or do I want to take a chance on winning
Oh, I know.
something of value,
And then you hope everyone else uses it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And the mulligans, if I remember correctly, they were like $30. Is that right?
Something like that. Is it 30 or 50? I don't remember.
I can't remember. I don't really remember because I didn't buy one. I like showed up to the match and everyone looked at me like, "Are you going to buy a mulligan?" And I was like, "No. Why would I do that?" And and then I found out why, Jeremy. I found out.
Yeah, yeah. And some people don't buy them because they want to give it. I think John McClain said it best. He goes, "I didn't buy one because I didn't want to have the option of redoing it. I wanted to have to lay it all on the line the first time."
Dude.
And it made sense. But in his good-hearted fashion, I think he was a stage winner of something, and he got like an AR gold trigger. He turned around, took the mic from me on the stage, and auctioned that thing off. I think it went for like $300, and that all went to the We Defy. So those are the kind of people I love seeing here. Those are the kind of people, that just. I'm not a touchy-feely guy, but you know what I mean? That just made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Nice. Well, all right. So here's the question. So I saw that there's 40 targets over 200 yards. Is that right?
Right.
How far are we going to be shooting? Like, what's the greatest distance?
It's going to be around that 550.
550?
Yeah, somewhere around there. It may go to 575, and it's not going to be a lot of them. I just,
right.
You know me. I like to push the limits a little bit and test people. And there may be one at 600, but I'm trying to keep it 550 and in.
Yeah. Well, that's very generous of you.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sound sarcastic or anything. and there's not going to be a lot of them at that distance. We're talking 1 to 2. I would say the average long-range target is going to be 350 to 375 on average.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be more in that realm. That's just more reasonable with an AR.
Yeah, and we did the rifle stage last year, and I want to say like one of them was 5 even, one was 505 and then one was 600 on 2 different lanes, right? And then, of course, there's everything from like 130 yards in. And we shot that one with a lot of wind.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're holding like a Volkswagen Beetle off of a target and still hitting it, you're like, huh, all right. Got some good Texas wind going here.
Yeah, that was brutal that day. I mean, some of those, pretty much that whole weekend and that stage, that ate a lot of people's lunch. But can't control the wind.
Yeah,
so
no kidding.
Make the best of it, and everybody had to suffer through the same wind, so didn't really make a difference.
Yeah, I was pretty pumped at the end of the stage when I actually was able to eliminate every single one of the targets. And one of the unique things about your match is that there is coaching allowed. So we actually put Hunter Sykes on the glass. And I was just like, just tell me what to do, buddy. I'll yank the trigger and you tell me what to do.
Yeah, there's always mixed feelings about coaching, but I've said it before, it's not for everybody, and I completely understand that, and I respect their opinion and them not showing up, and there's no ill will, it's just something I think because the reality of it is, it turns from coaching to heckling.
Yeah.
And we're here to have fun, and that's what it's all about. But yeah, having somebody on the spotting scope like Hunter or people like that definitely kind of helps some.
Yeah, it certainly does. And the heckling definitely is a thing.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Not so much on the first day, but once you know how it is, Jeremy. You've shot on a ton of squads. Like the first day, everyone's trying to feel each other out. And so people are like kind of quiet, keeping to themselves, not really having a good time. I mean, maybe they're having a good time, but maybe with like the people they know, but it hasn't really spread. And then by the end of day 2, like everyone's, throwing rocks at each other and just having a good time and giving each other a hard time about fumbling quads and stuff like that. Like, it takes a little while, but people warm up.
Yeah, I agree. It takes a little bit, but once you get going, that's the one thing I do when I pull up to a stage, when I'm just driving around. I don't always just pull up and jump out of my truck. I kind of just soak it in for 3 or 4 seconds and just look. Is people laughing? Are they smiling? That way I always know what I'm walking into.
Yeah.
And it's kind of good to see people laughing and smiling and doubled over, holding their gut because they're laughing so hard. And, it's just a good old time.
Yeah, that's one of the best things about the shooting sport is that, it's shooting sports. It's super competitive. And, there's always those people that are going to be taking it super seriously. But, man, you see a lot of people out there giving it everything when it's their turn. But then, they're willing to joke around and have a good time after the stage is over, in between stages, while resetting, stuff like that. And I don't know if that's just like a 3-gun thing or if that's shooting sports in general, but it's pretty cool to be a part of.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a little bit of both, a little bit of 3-gun, a little bit of shooting sports in general, but it's all about who you squad with. I've been on squads where everybody took it super serious, and there's nothing wrong with that because they were phenomenal shooters, but you sacrifice some of the fun out of it. And then I've been on squads where it was just, your face hurts the next day from laughing so much.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's just the people you're with.
Yeah, for sure.
So when do you plan on driving in for Vortex?
So I want to say that there's a contingent of 7 dudes from Colorado that are coming out. And these are all dudes that I shoot with. A bunch of them I've shot with for a couple of years now. A bunch of them I've shot with for many years. Mm-hmm. And we've all got a VRBO down there, and I think that starts on Thursdays. So us young guys are going to leave super early or on Thursday or super late on Wednesday and go straight to the range, walk stages, stuff like that. So we're going to come right in Thursday morning, it sounds like.
Is that normal for you? Do you normally like leave in the middle of the night and kind of just travel and plug on along? Or? Well,
Jeremy, there's not a whole lot of normal for me. So, a lot of the listeners know for the last 2 years, I have been just traveling full time. I have a travel trailer and loaded up my dog and all my guns and stuff like that, and just basically traveled to the next match. And then if there's a week in between, I would find something to do in between. A lot of it's working on the podcast. A lot of it's creating a website and relationships, visiting vendors, things like that. But then I would just go to the next match, stay on the range. A lot of times I'd show up like 2 days early and stay 2 days afterwards just to bridge that gap. And there's been a lot of generous people along the way. They're like, yeah, sure, just stay here. But so I just got back from the Texas 3-Gun Championship, and that one I drove down. Let's see, that was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday match. So I started driving down Wednesday, stayed the night like most of the way there because it's about a 14-hour drive, and I was driving by myself. And then just came in right around 10 a.m. to the match, did some zeroing, and then walked stages when they were open. But so that's kind of like the MO. And then I beat feet on the way back. Slept at a New Mexican rest stop, which was amazing. And I did the. What, should I tell this story? I don't think what I did is illegal, so I'll tell it. But I did the thing where you pull over in the rest stop, and you kind of park under the lamp, the lights that are around.
Right.
And then you take a pistol, put it in your lap, put a blanket over it, and go to sleep.
So you put a blanket over yours. I don't.
Yeah, well, see, I want people to look. Well, first of all, it was like 30 degrees, and then second, I want people to look in and think like, nah, that guy's not worth messing with. Whereas, and I have had family members that have done the same thing and have been contacted by police officers for whatever reason. just like out of state plates, or hey, we're looking for someone from Illinois with this or that or the other thing. But so yeah, I do the blanket just because I want to keep all that stuff out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
Yeah. Although
So
visual deterrent might be good.
Yeah. What do you do to occupy yourself when you're driving so much? Do you listen to music or books on tape or social media or Netflix, or what do you do?
Oh, I watch a lot of YouTube, which makes the turns a little scary, but
Okay.
no.
I can see it now. The iPad just propped up.
Oh yeah, exactly.
On the dashboard.
Yeah, watching old episodes of Looney Tunes. But no, I actually I listen to podcasts a lot, but when I have like a long trip, like say something to Texas, like that, 14 hours or 30 hours on a round trip is that's a book. It's a whole book. So I have like an Audible subscription.
Right.
And I download books and listen to them. Recently, a pal of mine gave me the Maria Sharapova autobiography. I think it's called like Relentless or something like that, My Life So Far. Right. So I've been listening to Maria Sharapova and seeing if I can glean anything from her success as a high-level tennis player.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So listening to books and YouTube, watching YouTube.
I'm kidding about YouTube. But I've got the new iPhone, and it has the headphone plug in there in the bottom that is like the flat one. It's not like the old school. Right. And that's also where you charge it. So when you got GPS going and you got your book going, like that only lasts like 10 hours, and then you're stuck with 4 or 5 hours of the trip. Like, well, I guess I'll just listen to the local radio station. Man, there's in like North Texas, there is the choice of like ranchero music or old timey country.
Yeah, in some areas, that's very true.
Yeah,
very true.
I went with old timey country, just so you know.
Yeah, you can understand that. So, how many matches do you go to in a year? Or let me rephrase that. How many did you go to in 2017, and how many you plan on in 2018?
Oh man, that's a great question. So let me pull it up real quick so I don't misquote myself.
I'm just curious. When I drive, maybe 4 or 5 hours before I start getting super restless, and I got to like pull off the road and walk around. But I do find I'm with you. I have the Audible subscription, and I can stay in the truck a lot longer with that, just because my mind is not on driving, or it is, but it's not just solely on that. You're in tune with the book,
Yeah. And I actually, it used to be when I was younger that I could only listen to music while I was driving. And now I just kind of find it repetitive, and I like to get into a book, which really helps. And then podcasts are great too, because I listen to a lot of conversational podcasts where it's not just one person. So it makes you feel like you're kind of part of it. And so you have to listen to the exchange. Also, I feel like it helps with what I do for the show here too, to like study how other interviewers ask questions and everything. So to answer your question, I shot 16 matches last year, or rather I went to 16 events, because that includes a SHOT Show, which now looking at it, that seems like kind of a lot. And
yeah, that is a lot.
So this year I have, let's see, I went to SHOT Show, shot the SHOT Show aftermatch, so I'm counting that one again. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have 12 matches this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I tried to cut it down to 6, and I ended up with 12.
So what makes you decide what event you're going to? Is there a structure? Is there like a checklist you have to go through to, of things that need to be there, or is it just whichever ones you haven't been to? Or
it's a little bit of both. So there are matches that I went to last year that I really enjoyed that I wanted to go do again. And there's also matches that I shot in 2016 that were really great that I wanted to do again. But unfortunately, I can't shoot all of them, as well as expand the catalog of 3-gun show knowledge, right? And so now that I'm in Colorado full time, I'm not traveling full time. I'm trying to do some Western matches because I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to anything west of, anything other than like say the Colorado State Championship, because that's like my home state's match, right?
Right.
So I shot Montana multi-gun in 2016, Colorado State Championship the last 2 years. I'm going to be shooting Rocky Mountain 3-gun for the first time. I did this SHOT Show Expedition multi-gun, which was a lot of fun because that's a very unique Western style match. Because 3-gun is completely regional, so it's completely different everywhere, which is kind of cool, actually.
Right.
And then I'm going to try to shoot a couple other ones west-ish, like Surefire multi-gun, maybe Safariland Expedition multi-gun. I'm going to go back to Hard as Hell again, and I might do the Hard as Hell 2-gun match, but I haven't decided yet. It depends on if a couple things fall in, but a lot of it is trying to pick out like 50%. Now what I've decided is like 50% new matches, things that I can go and try out, meet new people, and let them know about the show, because there's I still run into a lot of people that have never heard of the podcast. Maybe they're, newer shooters or something like that, or they're just not into podcasts, but that's kind of what I'm doing. But it also does feel good to go back to matches that I know what to expect from them.
Right.
And where like the people are friendly to the cause. I've been there, they know I've been there, and they want me to come back. So that part's pretty cool too.
So you're doing less traveling. Is you just putting more time into the podcast at home, trying to grow it, or are you keeping the same format, or what are you doing there?
Well, a couple different things that I'm doing this year. So I had the realization toward the end of last year that all the time in the seat of the truck towing a trailer is kind of wasted. And you could really only do like 6 to 8 hours a day pulling a trailer, because it does take a little more out of you when you got to deal with wind and extra stops and stuff like that. So I kind of was road weary, needed a break. Very fortunate to have good friends here in Denver. So staying with a good friend, and I rented a office space in Lakewood, Colorado. So I set this place up like Joe Rogan style. Like I got a big table with 3 chairs around it, and I've got 4 microphones, and
oh, nice.
Yeah, upgraded the audio equipment from my meager beginnings in my spare bedroom at my old house. I've got a workbench in the corner where I'm going to be doing install videos and stuff like that. So I'm concentrating on putting out more and better content, as well as shining a light on the local scene here in Colorado, because people can actually come in. Another of the cool things that I found is, I'm pretty close to I-70 and I'm pretty close to I-25, which are the 2 main arteries here in Colorado. So people traveling north and south or east and west can stop by and do podcasts and stuff. And we've done that a couple times here as well. So yeah, there's a lot of that. I still pack up my microphones and things like that to go to matches with me and create content there. But this is the 3rd year of the podcast. So we're recording this, Jeremy, on Friday, April 30th, and Sunday, April 1st is the 3rd year anniversary of the 3-Gun Show. Wow.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks, dude.
Congratulations. That's an interesting story. That's I've always wondered about that stuff, and that's just fascinating to me. It's how'd you, if you don't mind me asking, I think I've heard your story before, but what made you start doing the podcast, and had this vision of, I'm going to travel around and interview people and shoot guns?
Yeah, well, the gun shooting part was easy because just everybody likes to shoot guns, right?
Right, exactly.
I've had kind of like an interesting career. So I have a degree in marketing. Started working at a corporation out of college. That didn't work out well. Went and worked for like an aftermarket warranty company for cars. Because I was also into cars and mechanics and things like that. That didn't work out there. And I was like, you know what? Like, I really enjoy automotive, and I just want to do something with cars. So there's a local shop called Peterson Fluid Systems, and they build dry sump oil tanks for race cars. Are you familiar with that?
Not at all.
So what a dry sump is, let me explain this real quick, because there's probably some other people that don't know either. Like a traditional oil pan that has like a reservoir of oil under your engine is called a wet sump. The oil pump is part of the like timing. There's a tube that goes down into that pan, pulls up the oil, and spreads it to the engine, right?
Okay.
So when you start going fast, like drag racing or turning circles and stuff, that oil sloshes as fluid finds its level, right? And it goes away from the pickup, and then it starves the engine of oil, and then the engine blows, right? So what they do is they remove that sump out of the bottom. They remove that pickup out of the bottom. They basically place like a flat pan underneath the engine, and then they put an external tank somewhere with an external pump. And that tank has just a shitload of oil in it, and then it has baffles that are in it as well. And then it gets pumped through the engine. You never lose oil pressure. Everybody's happy, right? Your engine lasts a lot longer without blowing up. So I got a job in their fabrication shop. So I worked on like manual mill, manual lathe. I did some aluminum welding for a time, just on like detail parts, and then assembly. So working in a shop, but there wasn't like a whole lot of interaction with people because they're all doing something. Guys are welding, guys are working on machines, things like that. So didn't really have to talk to anyone. So I bought my first iPod. This is like 2005, and I was like, holy shit, I got an iPod. This thing's amazing. And it held so many songs on there, but I wasn't making a whole lot in this shop. So I listened to like the same 13 songs again and again and again until I was sick of them. Then I was like, there's got to be something else out there. Well, it turns out like Apple had audiobooks. I was like, that's awesome. I could totally learn while I'm doing this, or, at least listen to like a nice book. So I downloaded a book. It was like $14 or something like that. And I was done with it in one day. And I thought, holy shit, this is going to get expensive. So that was like an hour and a half worth of wage at the time. So I was like, there's got to be something else out there. And then I just looked, I was Google searching like free audiobooks, free, I don't remember how I came about it, but then I discovered this thing called podcasts, and it was like the dawn of podcasts. So a lot of them were really crappy, and podcasts it's pretty interesting because it's like a free and open source market. Like anyone can start up and hang a shingle with very minimal equipment, but that's also kind of a bad thing because then like production quality was super low, content quality was super low and stuff like that. But I found some that I liked, and one of those was Adam Carolla podcast, and it was basically just a rebroadcast of what he was playing on the air in LA. And so I listened to podcasts 10 hours a day for 2 years. And I thought, man, I would love to have one of my own, because one of those podcasts was about podcasting. And then one of those podcasts was about like internet business. And so that just kind of got like the wheels turning in my head. And I thought like, man, I would love to do that someday. And I talked to a couple of friends about it, and they didn't really even understand what podcasting was or why it was cool. But that was always in the back of my head. So career progressed, got a job at a real company, worked in aerospace for like 8 years, ended up being just really unhappy, and was looking for a way to figure a way out. Right. And a lot of people can identify with this. Like you start thinking like, well, am I the problem? If like all these companies that I've worked for, these large companies that are, customer facing, are so amazing, maybe I just don't fit in the corporate environment. So I was like, well, what can I do for myself? And I'll start a podcast, and then I don't know what's going to happen after that. But then it's like, okay, what do I start a podcast on? And then I sat down. I'm like, okay, well, what are the things I really like doing? And by that time, I had passed up the automotive pursuits for something air quotes cheaper, which was shooting guns.
Yeah.
And I had discovered 3-gun, and so I'd been shooting 3-gun for a couple of years, and like the 3-Gun Nation Pro Series was going hot, and I had just taken a class from Mark Pasmanic, James Casanova, and James was on the Pro Series, and I was like, I know like a couple people in here, and I bet they could introduce me to other people, so it'd be cool to have a podcast that was based just on 3-gun, because I'd listened to the old Burkett, like Predator Tactical podcasts.
Right.
And they went away, and it was good content, but it went away. So I was like, there's got to be something in there. There's got to be people out there like me. So I decided to scratch my own itch and start a podcast. But I had that idea, and I didn't really do anything with it until like a year later because several things happened in life. But finally I decided like, I'm going to do this. And so I set like a goal of just 3 months, like, okay, 3 months from now, I'm going to have a podcast. Got encouraged by several close people at the time, and reached out to a bunch of people that I'd seen on TV or that I'd seen on social media doing cool things, and asked them if they'd be on the podcast. And then they did. I recorded it. We had good conversations, and they got better over time. And here we are 3 years later.
Wow, dude. So what I heard from that is you found a passion in a niche and you went after it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's the one thing that I think a lot of people miss these days is, it took a lot of balls to jump out and do that. And I think a lot of people just kind of, they don't because they're too scared. So that's always cool when I hear somebody do that. And you've been doing it for 3 years, so something's going right.
Yeah. Well, and it's it's not always easy, but it's always worth it. There was a point where I was doing the show after work, and I started work at 5:30 in the morning, so I would get into work and just be like dog tired because I'm up late editing the podcast and stuff like that. But or recording an interview. And I kind of got to the point, it's like, I really love doing this podcast, and I really hate going into work. And, I worked in a large facility that was like 2,000 acres, and I worked in the last building on the end of the hill. And I remember driving up that hill, and the closer I would get to the building that I worked at, like the tighter my neck would get. Like I could feel the tension. It was terrible. Yeah. And I was like, this has got to be unhealthy. So, I was trying to make a business out of it from the get go, but I was like, well, what could I do to accelerate this, to make this faster and to find more happiness? And, the answer to that was sell everything I own, buy a travel trailer, and travel around the country shooting full time. So that's what I did.
Yeah. Dude, our story is so much alike. Years ago, I had a landscaping business, and I lost the passion for it. I used to dread, same thing you just explained. I used to dread going to the shop every day.
Oh.
And even though we were big and my typical work day was spent behind a desk or behind a draft table, finally just one day I quit. I sold the entire business. It didn't happen overnight, but I sold everything. And wasn't sure what I was going to do. I had Shooter Source at the time, but it really wasn't much of anything. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I wasn't happy. Because and I couldn't stay unhappy anymore because it really affected the people around me. If you can't make your own self happy, you can't make other people happy. And so,
dude, yeah. I look back and I think of like, there's so many failed relationships that were right around that time. As like, there's probably the work thing,
Yeah. Because that's one thing a lot of people, I think, fail to realize today. Anything that happens to you or whatever, it's your fault. I don't care what it is. It's your fault. It's your fault if you succeed. It's your fault if you fail, if you're happy, if you're unhappy. You are in 100% control. So many people don't want to make big decisions because they're afraid it's going to be the wrong one, and they just rather stay in this unhappy state and deal with it. And it's probably one of the most unhealthiest things you can possibly do next to meth.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Like I think about that. Like I could still be sitting in that cubicle, and like I said, it's never easy. There's definitely been ups and downs, and you know that as an entrepreneur, there's never an easy day. But I can work till 10 o'clock in the office here, and then I can, come in a little bit later, and it's not that big of a deal. And if I work two nights really late, then I can take Thursday and go to the range when no one else is out there, and I can get my practice session in and make the most of my time. I can go to, any place here in Colorado that's of interest to me and do a podcast. Like I have that flexibility, and just to be back in charge of my own time it feels so good. And I never ever wish I was back in that cubicle.
Exactly. I'm sure there were days you questioned it, but
yeah, like today.
Being an entrepreneur is not always about money. It is, but it's not. It's the freedom. It's the power,
Yeah, and I think about that all the time with, like happiness level. Like I'm definitely the happiest I've ever been. And I think about, like, in school I wasn't very happy, but I had to be there. And in work I wasn't really happy, but like I had to be there. Now I don't have to be in the office here, but I'm here a lot,
Yeah.
I do a lot of cool shit.
Well, that, and you're in control, of your success. So there's always that. There's just something I think everybody should try it. It's not, like you said, it's not always unicorns and rainbows.
Yeah.
A lot of time you're wiping the shit off your face almost daily, because you got to try something, and sometimes you fail, sometimes you don't.
It's true, man.
Or actually 10 times you fail and one time you don't.
Yeah. And it's a lot of thick skin too, because you want to try so many different things, and you're constantly, the thing I've realized is, like, you can do anything you want. You really can. And it's like blank sheet. So it's like, okay, how do I create solid revenue and solid income for Dave? And then, I don't know, maybe dependence down the line. So it's not always going to be me. Right now I have the flexibility of, like, I got to worry about me. I got to worry about the dog, and that's about it. So,
right.
My parents are in their mid 60s now. Who knows what happens if one of them all of a sudden needs full-time help and everything. But with the when I sit around and I look at, like, okay, well, I'm not creating enough income. I'm not doing enough sales. It's like, well, how can I create more value for the community to where those things take care of themselves? And so,
boom.
Yeah. And so,
dude,
like I said, with
that statement, that is like the best thing I've heard all day. I shit you not. Everybody's always, how can I make more money?
Yeah.
And I used to be that guy. And now it's like exactly what you said. How can I create more value for people around me? The money will come. It'll be a little bit slower getting there, but it will come, and it will come like a snowball at you.
Yeah.
So you're on the right track, brother. Keep that up.
Thanks, man. I totally appreciate that. Back to the thick skin thing, though, is when you try to, create those value propositions of what is my community of listeners, what is the shooting sports community going to value enough to trade their hard-earned dollars for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Try a lot of things, and there's a lot of trying before you find success or something that hits a chord, strikes a chord, or rings that bell, And so you got to have thick skin of putting all that stuff out there and be willing to hear that feedback and then pivot like, okay, maybe that didn't work so much. Let's kind of turn the path a little bit here and figure out where we're going from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That happens to everyone, and you can't forget it, but you can't dwell on it.
Yeah.
We've all had ups and downs. We've done stuff. I've made a lot of decisions that I look back and go, why did I even consider that? But at the time, it seemed like a good idea, and I'm an impulse guy, so I ran with it and fell flat on my face, and then it's like, okay, let's not do that again. But I don't regret any of them because you learn. It's how you grow as a person, really.
Can you think of one of those times where you had what appeared to be a failure that later on turned out to be like the beginning of a success or led to a success?
Yeah, actually I can. Landscaping business. So many years ago, we were doing primarily commercial landscaping installation and maintenance. So we did a lot of city contracts, stuff like that, mowing the right of ways. And when I first got into that, I bid on this maintenance project that was close to $1 million a year. And I completely, by the grace of God, I got out of that contract because I completely underbid it. Like I would have lost everything.
Wow.
I just missed I didn't realize how much time it was going to take. And there was a paper technical snafu. And they're like, well, we can't give it to you because of this. We need you to change this paperwork. And I'm like, I'm not changing it. No, because by that time I saw it. So I learned a huge lesson there. But I made a great contact at that point. And it was actually a guy that became a good friend of mine that was in that business. And he pulled me aside and goes, here's what you did wrong, right? And he showed me his blueprint of how he bids larger commercial jobs. And I literally used that blueprint to the day I sold the business, and it was very successful. And like I said, he turned into be a good friend of mine. And so, yeah, I failed miserably there, but it opened the door to something else that turned out to be basically the core of my business for the last several years that I owned it.
Huh. Interesting. Well, so what was his motivation to help you? Like, what did he see in you that was worth giving away his blueprint?
I have no clue. What does anybody ever see in me? But I think it's I don't know, to be honest with you. I never talked to him about it. But he's always been very open with me. And I kind of knew him ahead of time. But I think he had the same mentality I do. It's like there's enough business out there for everyone, because we ended up doing a lot of subcontracting to each other. Or we'd get jobs, or we hear about bids that, you know what, Chris, I think this is better fitted for you and what you do. Here you go. Here's a bid. Or vice versa. Or sometimes it's like, hey, man, I won this bid, but I can't find any good help right now. Let me make 15% off the top and you keep the rest and I'll sub it out to you. So we ended up doing a lot of business together back and forth. And I don't know what struck that. It was just one of those things. Some things just kind of fall in your lap, I guess. And you just take it and run with it. But, yeah, that was one thing that I almost lost my pants on.
Well, that's first of all, it's cool to have that one thing that you can point at that ended up turning out well. But it's also cool that, he was generous, asked nothing of you, gave,
Exactly.
of himself, and then it ended up coming back to him.
Well, if you think about it, now that I've said that story out loud, that value statement you made earlier, he gave value and it came back to him because he ended up making quite a bit of money off me over the years after that. So it just goes to show, if you try to give value to other people, it will come back around eventually.
Yeah, definitely. That's a cool story. I like that.
Yeah. So how do you balance all this stuff, man? You travel, I'm intrigued, dude. I'm kind of stealing your show. I'm sorry.
Nah, it's all good.
It fascinates me, these kind of stories. And I mean, you're traveling and then you got the home office there, or they got the office, but your plate's got to be like overflowing. How do you organize this and kind of make it all work?
Well, okay. I was a planner at my last job, right, which is basically like a project manager for a 75-person lab. Or 74, I guess I was the 75th. So I knew how to plan me. Well, I don't need to count that. But unfortunately, you know how when you draw a bow back, it snaps the other direction until it settles. Well, I have snapped the other direction, unfortunately, and for like the last couple of years, not having a set schedule or places where I really needed to be other than, you know, matches, I've kind of loosened up quite a bit to where I'll show up at a match like, I'm sure 3 pistol magazines will be enough. I'm sure someone will have one there I can borrow, you know. and traditionally that's not been me. Like I've been the super prepared guy. I got like a list for everything and ready to rock and stuff like that. So I'm now trying to find my balance in that area. And I'm finding that with more popularity of the show that it's more difficult to handle personal interactions with people. So I am, but those personal interactions are valuable. It's the reason I do this, right? Is to be able to help other people improve their 3-gun game or at least make them laugh, you know, because it's one of the biggest things in my life is I love making people laugh. And I don't know if I've ever actually said it on the podcast here, but you know, it's infotainment. It's supposed to be fun and entertaining, but also help you out. And I think I do that without actually coming out and saying it, but not to toot my own horn there.
I would agree.
Thanks. But so managing it all has become something I've definitely tried to refine over like the last few months here. I'm trying to streamline some processes, things that I do for several of the sponsors on the show. I'm trying to standardize and but also create compelling content. Mm-hmm. And then I'm actually, this is kind of weird, man, for me to say, because I've been doing this thing other than voluntary help from a multitude of people who I can never hope to repay for various things over the years. I've been doing this thing like largely by myself. Right. And I'm now like looking for help in various areas where, maybe it's an editor for the podcast. Editing the podcast has always been something that's taken me way too long, and I need someone to do it better. Because there's always someone out there that's better than you, right? And and especially for me, that I don't really have a technical background, so I'm trying to find that balance. But the as far as like balancing matches and stuff like that, so this has been the first time that I've left somewhere, shot a match, and came back to that same place. So.
Oh wow! I guess you're talking about the recent Texas 3-gun.
Yeah, exactly. And so
wow.
I found that I brought like way too much stuff, and I brought way too much stuff. I didn't bring enough stuff, and it was just like kind of a whole mess to deal with. So I'm kind of trying to refine that process as well. And when I came back, I was behind the 8 ball for putting podcast out. I had podcasts scheduled later in the week, which is this week that we're talking in right here, as well as now a full email box of folks that are looking for Armalite rifles, people that have questions about merch, partnerships I'm working with on various things, potential future guests. So many different things, and so I'm like behind on my communication, and I'm really trying to figure out how to balance that part of it. Yeah. One of the things that I think is going to help going forward, and I'm going to do this as many times as I can, is finding those people from Colorado who are traveling as well, and see if we can carpool. Because if I can drive half the 14-hour trip, then that means that's 7 hours I can work on the the iPhone or bring my laptop or something like that.
Right.
While I'm not driving, or sleep would be good too. So
yeah, just a little bit,
just a little bit every now and then.
Right.
So,
right.
to be
So
on.
what kind of processes you're talking about? What kind of processes, if you don't mind me asking, are you trying to implement to, I guess, get organized or more controlled chaos, maybe?
Yeah.
Be the word?
So I reached out to a listener who had hit me up before, and he's like, "Hey, if you need help editing the podcast, I heard you mention it, and this was like a year ago, so I should have done it sooner." But so we're talking about how to get help through that. Like, he has several contacts of people that do this for a living, so I think I'm going to turn part of that over. The video aspect of the Three Gun Show is something that the audience has been clamoring for a long time. And I need to get a few things off my plate before I can do that, because I think there's a lot of value to offer, sponsors of the Three Gun Show, listeners of the Three Gun Show, potential viewers of the Three Gun Show. I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff there, and you can actually connect well via video, as well as you can with a podcast. Like, podcast is very intimate because it's one-on-one, like you're deep in someone's ears and stuff like that. But with video, it puts you in that mode of like you're there, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%, dude. I think I think the video just adds a personal touch to it.
Yeah.
You take Joe Rogan, for example.
Yes.
Everybody, if you've been around me long enough, you've heard me say, silence is noise to me. So I don't like silence at all. And a lot of times I've got on one of my computer monitors is the Joe Rogan YouTube channel playing. And it's little snippets of his podcast. And I kind of, more than anything, I just listen to them just to have background noise, but watching them as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be awesome to have you doing that. It kind of, you let them get to know you more, just to see your interactions, facial expressions, all that kind of stuff. I think that'd be a great thing to do.
Well, dude, I appreciate that. And, I said I set this studio up Joe Rogan style. And so that's actually something I watch too. And to be honest, like I've listened to Joe Rogan for a bunch of years, but I never really watched anything other than like the little 5-minute highlight reels that you see sometimes. But I was listening to Jordan Peterson on Joe Rogan podcast recently, and this is the second time that he was on. And I can't remember where I was. Maybe I was coming home from a match, but I came home and it was just me and the dog, and I was done with I was done with driving with the podcast. I needed to cook, and unfortunately, I have corded earbuds, and so I'm like, all right, I don't want those things in my ears, and then pulling the pan off the stove, because it has happened. Yeah. It has happened before. So I'm like, all right, I want to see if this is on YouTube. So I got my laptop out, and I was like, wait a minute, I think this PlayStation on the TV here gets YouTube. I sound like an old guy saying that, but so I go over to the PlayStation, turn that on, turn the TV on, and I'm sitting there watching Joe Rogan on like a 60-inch screen, and I was like, how have I not done this sooner?
Yeah.
So yeah, that there definitely is a technical hurdle for it, because Joe's got a producer, right? He's got a dude, right. Young. I almost said Jeremy. Young Jamie. Yeah, so he's got young Jamie that does that for him. So I personally am not very technically adept, so I'm getting some help from a listener who's going to help me figure out how to do it with video, because the if you just do like a streaming, like on your iPhone or on your laptop, like that's good enough, but the audio quality of the podcast, I started out good, and it's only gotten better from there. And when you listen to other podcasts out there, you can definitely tell that I've spent a lot of time with the audio quality. So I want to get the good audio quality plus the video, marry those together, and I got to figure out how to do that. So the video is definitely coming, and then that will enable me to do the several other videos I want to do. Like Armalite is sending me rifle, but they're sending it to me in bags instead of all together. So
right,
I'm going to be doing a lot of how-to videos and things like that are specifically catered to the 3-gun community, which I think is important.
I agree. 100%.
We do different stuff.
We do some weird stuff, but I think that's awesome, dude. I mean, that'll serve value to your sponsors too, being able to have them their logos on there or their products in there, and I think it's a win-win all the way around.
Yeah, thanks. I've had a couple guys locally come into the studio here and do some podcasts, and we're going to do a couple more next week. And it's just a completely different experience when you're sitting down in front of someone and
Right.
Having that exchange. And I like it a lot. Like so Skype is the way that I started doing the podcast, like what we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And when I actually did the first face-to-face one, it was pretty nerve-wracking. One, because it was Jerry Mitchell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then two, because, I'd always been behind the mic, so you don't have to, it's more like public speaking when you're doing it in front of someone. But, now
So you had to actually put pants on and socks and shoes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Speaking of which, I'm in an office place here. There's like a lot of professionals around, and I'm standing in the. So I went to the gym before I came to work, and I'm standing in the little kitchenette thing, and I'm using the crappy Keurig to make coffee. And one of the real estate lawyers down the hall comes in, and they're gun guys, which is cool because they love coming in and seeing like anything that I have is awesome to them because they're just normal to gun dudes. They're not like competition shooting dudes. So everything looks like a space gun to them. But so he walks into the kitchenette, and I just came from the gym, so I'm wearing like shorts and a t-shirt. And he kind of did the stop and the double take, and he's like, shorts, huh? And I was like, yeah, we call this No Pants Friday where I work. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a thing.
So what kind of workouts do you do?
So I do mostly weightlifting. Although at the Texas 3-Gun Championship, we were required to do a lot of running. So I now know that I need to do, sub 80-yard sprints into my workout. But I do mostly weightlifting, deadlift, squats, power cleans, stuff like that. And then if all that stuff is taken up by a bunch of meatheads, I revert back to kettlebells, and I just kind of mess around with kettlebell snatches, cleans, swings, stuff like that.
Do you ever do any Tabata style workouts?
I don't.
Are you familiar with what Tabata style is?
So it's been probably 3 years since I've done a Tabata, and we only did them like twice. So I used to work at a local CrossFit gym, and I think we did them twice, but I'm not sure. So isn't it like 15 on, 10 off or something like that?
I think it's 20 on, 10 off for 4 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Right, so 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. Then it repeats 20 work, 10 rest. You do that I believe it's 4 minutes, and it can be anything you want. Kettlebell swings, jumping jacks, a combination of stuff. And I found for me, I used to just do nothing but lift heavy weights. Heavy to me anyway. And kind of the same thing you're talking about, just the endurance level wasn't there.
Yeah.
I could pick you up and throw you in the air, but if I had to chase you 20 yards, I probably couldn't. So my coach introduced a lot of Tabata style stuff because I told him, I was like, I need to start running, get my endurance up. And he goes, you can run all you want. You're not going to get there, or you're not going to get there as fast as you want to. And so I started doing that. So a typical workout, even to this day, is go in there and do the main lift, whatever it is. Like you said, a squat, deadlift, bench, whatever it may be. And then do 1 to 2 Tabata style workouts after that complements that lift, right? So if it's like say back squats was the main lift, I would do Tabata squats or Tabata style front squats or Zerker squats or something like that afterwards. And it's a smoke fest, man. You think part of it's like 4 minutes, that's not a lot. But when you get that heart rate up, you start seeing black dots, and you start like pulling that trash can a little bit closer because you're about to lose your lunch. You cannot wait for that 4 minutes to be over. But that seemed to work for me and still let me lift heavy weights or lift weights and do that kind of stuff. And that may be something worth just giving it a shot or looking into. But all it really is 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. But that 20 seconds, there's nothing moderate about it. It's 110%,
Now, when you go to the Tabata, say like you start with squats, and you said you probably do front squats on like a Tabata, right?
Right.
Do you go pretty lightweight for that?
I'd go moderate weight. If I did a front squat and let's say the max, I don't even know what my max is. Let's just say it's 300, for example. I would probably do 50% of that.
Oh, okay.
Right. Or maybe it's 60%. And how I feel kind of dictates that as well. But you do that just nonstop, right? So, you kind of you want to be able to speed up your rhythm a little bit.
Right.
But not completely lose your form and just do a lot of bad reps. You want them to still be quality reps, good form, so you don't hurt yourself. Or sometimes I will just decide to go heavy, because going heavy and doing less weights, it's time under tension, and that's what builds muscle and endurance. And so you're still getting the same effect out of it.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. But a lot of the stuff I did would be I tried to always do some full body stuff every day. So that could be tire flips or sledgehammer on tires or a little baby sledge in each hand, like beating the drums on a tire.
Thrusters.
Thrusters. Anything but burpees. I absolutely despise burpees. I despise them. Like, dude, it just, pull my toenail out with a pair of pliers. Don't make me do a burpee.
Dude, burpees are so terrible, but man, they're so good for you. And just a complete full body workout. Oh,
burpees are the devil. They're the son of Satan.
You know what we should do?
If Satan gave birth, it would be to a burpee,
You know what we should do?
We're not having that in my match.
We should have a burpee challenge, you and me.
You win. I quit. You're the champion.
No way, man. You're way more competitive than that. Come on.
Oh, I know. You say that in front of me, dude. I would stop a major match and jump into a contest, because I don't like backing down. But
well, how many burpees do you think you can do before we see each other?
How many what?
How many burpees you think you can do between now and the time that we see each other?
One more than you.
Oh, really?
Hey, if we're going to make this a contest,
Let's do it, man. I need some motivation.
All right. Well, name the terms. What do we got to do? How many each day, or how many between now and then? And they all got to be on video. There's none of this.
Oh, on video? This isn't like a gentleman's thing?
No.
We don't have the trust?
Trust but verify, always.
All right. You're an Apple guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That means we can send weird videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how many we gonna do? You gonna set it between now and Vortex, or are you gonna set it per day? Or
yeah. So I'm looking at the clock. The calendar. So let's start April Fool's Day, because this is a foolish thing to do.
Okay.
And then we're gonna see each other Thursday, the 19th.
Right.
Most burpees.
All right. We're gonna do them with a weighted vest on, or just regular?
I'm thinking regular.
Okay.
You hate burpees as it is. Okay, so now let's
I hate burpees, but I hate losing worse.
All right, this will be perfect. So let's define a burpee.
Okay.
So hands to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Kick start standing, hands to the ground, kick your legs out, chest to the ground, and then peel up and reverse, right?
Yep.
Okay.
We're going to have a bar height up there. That way we're completely jumping and not just like doing this little fake jump that a lot of people do on burpees.
Oh, no, I like that fake jump.
Okay. All right.
We can do a bar height if you want.
No, that means you got to be somewhere in particular to do them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Okay. Most burpees. So I tell you what.
You heard it here first, folks.
Most burpees between April 1st. They start April 1st. They end April 19th. And we got to prove it by video on the 19th.
All right. I like it.
That'll work? All right. So what's the wager? There's got to be –
There's got to be a wager. Yeah. There's no winner if no one loses, right?
Exactly.
What's a good wager?
Gotta think about that one. Huh. It's got to be something that's just completely insulting, embarrassing. Can't be money. That's too easy.
Okay. I like where her head's at.
Yeah.
So I win, you wear a tutu at the awards ceremony.
I don't think that.
Is that
That's
the little,
like
that's a
punishment
little
for everybody. That's
pink
punishment for
ballerina
everybody
thing, right?
else.
Okay.
Yeah, that's punishment for everybody else.
Huh.
And I don't. No. We can't affect that match because that represents Vortex.
Oh, that's a
also,
good point.
so
That's a good point.
I could see some of the brass at Vortex going, "What
Yeah.
the hell, Ruben? What did you do?"
Yeah.
It's just Yahoo.
What's going on with Moore out there? Spent too much time in the sun.
I don't know. Let's think about the wager there.
We'll think about it. And before this airs, we'll have the wager. So I'll include it on the back end here.
That'd be perfect.
All right, I'm in. You hate burpees. I hate burpees. I need to get in shape. You're real competitive. This is perfect.
I'm going to spend the rest of the night YouTubing how to do an efficient burpee.
Oh man.
That's like, oh mercy! What did I just do? I'm in though. I'm in 110%.
All right, let's do it.
You're gonna lose.
It's a lot of burpee time in between then and now.
Dang. So now that you are kind of got a little headquartered there, a little base, what do you do with yourself? You're so used to traveling and getting up early and then shooting a match and then working. And I mean, so now you can almost be a little bit more structured.
Yeah.
So what are your days looking like?
Tell you what, man, like for a long time, excuse me, I just thought like, I just want to do whatever I want to do, you know? And I realized that Jocko Willink, who is also a podcast host, author, former Navy SEAL, hardcore MFer, he's right. Discipline equals freedom, right? So I'm trying to refine my schedule. I'm really fortunate that I have this wild little bird dog that loves to get up at the exact same time every day, and so I get up between 7:15 and 7:30 every day, and do breakfast, do coffee, shower it up, feed the dog, take him for a walk, stuff like that, and then I'm in the office here between like 8:50 and 9:10 every day. And a lot of times I'll roll at 5 or 6, and then sometimes like tonight, got a podcast to do, stay a lot later. So there's been, and because of the time change of my guests, sometimes I'm here in the office until like 11 o'clock at night because we get going on a podcast and there's good stuff. You just can't stop it.
Right.
So that's what I do. I'm here 5 days a week. I'm trying to, when I started with the office here, it was like, okay, well, I got so much to do and I got so much, and it was great to have a place to do it. I was here like on the weekends too, and I'm trying to eliminate that just to have some sort of like downtime where I'm not thinking about 3Gun and I'm not thinking about the podcast and things like that. Cause as an entrepreneur, it's hard to separate your life from what you're doing. Right.
Right.
So that's kind of the main part of it. Now that it's nicer here in Colorado, I'm trying to pick a day out of the week where I go and do training on the range, and I'll go out and shoot. There's a couple of guys that I'll meet out there, and we'll run through drills and things like that, do some practicing, and then I'll generally backfill that with a weekend day because I'll take a weekday off to do that. Shooting local club matches. Really excited to be teaching this year. I've taught several things over the years, and I really enjoy doing it. I love spreading the word of like what I'm doing and showing people how to do it. I was an NRA pistol instructor for a while, did like personal protection in the home and basic pistol, and those were kind of fun to do, but I'm not really a self-defense guy. I'm more just love teaching people like the mechanics of it.
Right.
So I've been doing some personal training with students, and then I'm teaching intro to 3Gun classes as classroom sessions only. I'll show them videos and teach them rules and how to score targets, the culture of 3-gun, like, pitching in and everybody helping and resetting, things like that. And that's been a ton of fun. And I actually have one of those classes lined up tomorrow in Colorado Springs, which is about an hour and a half away. So I'm going to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
The response has been pretty incredible. We've had so this is the second class. So the first class we had 11 students. This class has 13. And it's been pretty cool. And I've actually seen the students out on the range shooting club matches. And, man, for me, and you just said you're the kind of the same way. I'm one of those people, like, I see something, I want to do it, and that's how I was with like Spartan racing. I saw my buddy Wade run a Spartan race, and I was like, that looks like freaking fun, when I saw all the pictures. So sure enough, next year I was out there running too, climbing ropes, doing obstacles and things like that. And so that's just like my personality. Like, I wanted to shoot 3-gun, and I went and shot 3-gun. But there's several people that need permission to shoot 3-gun, and that, or they need more information. There's just different personality types. So with the class, it's been cool to like take away the mystery of where do I go? What do I do? What is my rifle okay? Is my pistol okay? And things like that. And so it's all like, low effort, no live fire, really easy on-ramp into shooting. And it's been pretty successful for a lot of people. So I'm pretty pumped about that. And then, dealing with day-to-day stuff of creating new merchandise for the 3-Gun Show store, building a better store that looks more attractive to the audience, building a better website, improving and refining a lot of processes, and man, recording podcast after podcast and doing a lot of editing too.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a busy day.
I tell you what, I spent a lot of time on the phone. So there's.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So there, and that's like either creating partnerships, strengthening partnerships, working on different projects with people that, already have partnerships with, talking to friends in the industry, ideas for shows, and when are we going to do this? When can we see each other? That kind of thing. And is this idea better to do in person? Can we do this over Skype? So there's a lot of planning that goes into the podcast. Like several people have an impression that, you just hit the go button and you go for it. But yeah, like you and I've been planning this one for weeks now,
Yeah, it's just trying to get each other's schedule. And
yeah,
it's people see the tip of the glacier. They don't see everything under the water.
Yeah.
And they think, I just like, let's text each other and then, okay, yeah, let's do a podcast right now. It's like, no, that did. Because the reason I was asking about your processes earlier, because I kind of have been going through the same thing over the last probably 4 or 5 months. I felt like my days were spent being reactive instead of proactive.
Mm-hmm.
And I hated that because I used to be a very, very structured guy, right? Everything was a list. You got checked off and it was done. And so things that I changed recently to kind of get control of that again. It's like my day starts at 3:45 a.m. every morning. And, if you were to look at my calendar, my Google Calendar is my gospel, right? That it's not on that calendar, it doesn't get done, period. And everything is blocked off. 3:45 to 4 a.m. It's wake up, drink your coffee, get your gym clothes on, leave for the gym. And and once I started doing that, and then I usually get back from the gym around 5:45 every morning, and that's when I do what I call personal development. And that's whether I'm trying to get in the habit of reading again, reading 5 pages a morning and doing stuff like that. And then I start my day. So I get my PT and my PD done first thing in the morning. For me, it works. It kind of sets the tone because you never know what the day's going to bring, whether, like you said, working on the website or doing other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a very strict schedule I follow, but I also leave some flexible time in there because running a gun range, people are always in and out, whether they're guests or people want to see the range or sign up for membership or do whatever. I've got to be super flexible during the day, which means I've got to be super structured before and after hours in order to get everything done. And it seems to be working for me, at least so far.
That's good. That's interesting to hear. I'm trying to be more structured and more disciplined about myself as well. Like I said, one of the things that I've found that helps me is don't open an email app until I'm ready. And
Yes.
that helps with the reactive part of it. Because I've found that, my personality is I want to help. I want to do things for people. And so when I see someone that needs something in my email box, that becomes my number one. And
Right.
then the other shit that I was supposed to do kind of goes by the wayside.
Yeah.
So
Well, one thing I do on that, and one of the things I kind of, because it started with, I used to do this when I got in financial trouble. When I couldn't figure out where the money was going, I started carrying a little notebook in my pocket, and I'd write down every penny I spent that day. And it doesn't matter if I went to the store and bought a Coke or a bottle of water. I wrote it down,
mhm.
and it helped me. And then it all went into an Excel sheet at every Friday afternoon, and then it showed me, well, dude, you're spending 7-Eleven. You might as well own one because you're spending so much money there.
Yeah.
Well, I started doing that with my time. It's like, okay, I just spent time doing this, time doing this, time doing this. And so there was a lot of time on social media. And like you said, the email on one of my monitors, I always had my email sitting over there. So one thing I did is I turned off all notifications on my phone.
Yeah.
To Facebook and Instagram and everything. Right. So the only way I even know that I have a notification is if I actually open the app. And I no longer sit with my email inbox open on one monitor. Right. So this may be too much information, but social media gets done when I'm sitting on the toilet or seriously, that's the truth, or at lunchtime. That's really it. And lunchtime is usually more business related. Like I'll go in there and schedule a lot of posts for sponsors for, say, the Vortex match coming up. A lot of those get scheduled way in advance. I will schedule those, and then I will quickly go through my notifications. Does anything need my attention right now? And most of the time it doesn't. But then my playtime on social media is at night. Like it's kind of a ritual before I fall asleep. I'll spend 20, 30 minutes on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I open up my email inbox 3 times a day. First thing in the morning when I get here, and I'll return every email. And then I open it up right after lunch, and I open it up usually around 5 in the afternoon. And it's amazing how much I'm actually getting done just because I didn't realize how distracted I was by a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I tell you what, for me the phone is difficult to deal with because there's so many different ways to distract myself and make myself think that I'm like actually doing work. Because it feels good to interact with people on social media, and they're listeners of the show, and it's nice to give them attention, and it's nice to have like that LOL for the day and things like that. But I've found that when I put my phone on airplane mode and then I put it across the room to where I can't like just pick it up and check it, not only do I get way more done, but those LOLs are always there waiting for me when I'm ready.
Well, yeah, I think it's a necessity to interact.
Oh, absolutely is. Absolutely is.
But it's just as important. The problem is if you spend all your time doing that, you're interacting with a handful of people. But I found for me, a lot of other stuff and a lot of other people were getting neglected. I was not following up with my commitments or getting them done on time or in a timely fashion. And it just felt like everything was not in control. And something I decided recently. I was like, I'm tired of this. I need to get back to being proactive. And so it's good to hear you doing that. Maybe we can share some tips to keep each other online.
Hell yeah.
In between doing these stupid freaking burpees.
It's going to be awesome.
You're going to lose. I'm super competitive, dude. I wish you all the luck in the world. Don't get me wrong. right? This is me giving you my rifle when we're battling for first place.
Yeah.
I'm still going to win.
All right. All right. One of the things that's helped me throughout the day too is a morning meditation practice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Does that hit your radar at all? Have you ever done anything like that?
I haven't. No.
So I find that I'm up to 15 minutes now, and some days I can only do 10. But I started with 5. So 5 minutes of sitting with my eyes closed, and initially it was just that, and then it became like concentrating on my breath, and I did a bunch of guided meditations that were on this Calm app, and I'm using Headspace now just to try something new out. But the days that I meditate in the morning, I'm way less reactive. I get way more done. I'm less impulsive on things, and it helps overall. One of my buddies that's going to be on the podcast next week, he was telling me that he heard me talk about meditation on the podcast, and he downloaded this app. It's called like Pranayama, I think is what it is, and it's a breathing app. And so it basically does like a tone for inhale, a tone for pause, a tone for exhale, a tone for pause, tone for inhale, and then it just goes around, around, around. And you start out with just a couple minutes, and then you end up doing, I want to say that it maxes out at like 14, but 7 is average or something like that. But it's deep breaths, and that is not only a centering thing, but it also helps you out with breathing in physical activity as well. Like, for example, weightlifting, burpees, shooting 3 guns, stuff like that. So that's something I'm dabbling with as well, is like deep breathing exercises in the morning. And I find when I take a few minutes to calm the chaos before the chaos starts, it really helps me throughout the day.
So what do you, so you said you'd sit there with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular you're supposed to be thinking about, or are you just trying to keep the mind clear of any thoughts, or what's going through your mind at that time?
Well, so the type of meditation that I do is like, the idea is to clear your head of thoughts, right? But for me, if there's something particularly bothering me, I will think about that thought, that idea, in like a playful way of like, why is that bothering you? What does that matter? What is getting you about that? Is it hurt your ego? That kind of thing, and just kind of quiz myself on it. If there's like a particular like problem to solve, I'll bat that one around. But generally, what I'm doing is I'm trying to feel where I can feel my breath. And for me, I can feel it in the transition between my nose and my mouth, right when it makes that corner and starts going down into your lungs.
Okay.
So that's where I can feel the air rushing by. And so I concentrate on that particular spot and try to put like all my thoughts on that area. Now, sometimes you do think about other things, and the idea is like, not that you're like, Dave, you fucking suck at this. Like, you suck at meditating, because then that just ruins your whole deal, right? So the idea is you recognize that you had a thought, like, oh, that's curious. I was thinking about, this interview I have coming up later today. That's okay. We can think about that later and let it go and let it go. And then the more you have those thoughts that come up that are something else, and the more you recognize them and push them away, it's like doing reps in the gym. You get stronger and stronger, and it is cumulative. So the more days you do it in a row and the more you do it over your life, the less distractions you have.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I was never, growing up, I was never like a woo-woo type of guy, and never would have thought I would be doing something like this. But I just heard so many people praise it as one of the most beneficial things they've done. I'm like, well, what's going to hurt if I just sit still and close my eyes and think and try this?
Interesting. Yeah, because see, the gym is my meditation, I guess.
Yeah.
Everything you just described. Like if I don't work out in the morning, yeah, it's just everything's off. But I think it's kind of like a post I made on Instagram recently. It's like it's not a 5 a.m. workout. It's a 5 a.m. mental challenge. Am I self-disciplined enough to get up, get it done, and have one victory for the day before the sun comes up?
Yeah. And that's so true. And, like yoga is a moving practice, right? Where you're supposed to be on your own mat and concentrating on yourself. So it's a moving meditation. But I totally feel like CrossFit WODs definitely are, because it's something that you have to endure, you have to get through, you have to use your mental toughness to do it. And there's nothing else in the world that matters at that moment other than picking up that barbell.
Exactly.
And I thought the same thing about Spartan racing. We did a Spartan race in Breckenridge that was 14 and a half miles. So over a half marathon. We topped out 11,200 feet. And yeah. And so we're running uphills, we're running downhills, we're running in snow that was up to our waist, because I don't remember what month we did it, but there's still snow on the ground. Lots of snow on the ground. We're running under barbed wire. We're crawling or climbing walls and shit like that. But at that time, like, your job doesn't matter. If you got a bill you forgot to pay, it doesn't matter. If you need to get insurance on your new car, that doesn't matter. Like, none of the weird things that we deal with day to day, like people sending you paper in the mail, like, hey, here's this offer. None of that stuff matters. There's no distractions. There's no YouTube. There's no Facebook. There's no Instagram. There's no Twitter. There's no cute selfies or anything. Nothing matters except for the task at hand. And that is what I loved so much about obstacle racing. And it's what I love about 3-gun. Because when you're on a stage for, those, 180 seconds or more or less or whatever it is, like, that is the only thing that matters. That is the only thing you have to do. That is the only thing you're thinking about. You're not thinking about, like, man, really wish I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich right now. Like, that is, it's stick this quad, 2 bird, 2 slug, bird, slug, slug, bird, 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 bird. That's what you're thinking about. Like, only thing that matters is what you're doing at that time.
Right. Interesting. I may have to look into that. I don't know that I'd be good at that, to be honest with you, because, like I said, silence is noise to me.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, it may be a good self-discipline trick just to see if I can do that.
Absolutely.
And if it makes you better and more productive throughout the day, hell, I'm all for it.
Yeah, more productive throughout the day, less bothered by small things, and more up to mental challenges for sure. So I think it honestly helps with weightlifting. Anything that you need to do throughout the day that requires some sort of discipline.
Yeah. Well, I used to know, so I've been self-employed since I was 22, maybe.
Nice.
Something like that. And the things that used to bother me then, the little things about business, I used to freak out and stress about. Now, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But so I guess my point is, with time, I can see where, the more you meditate, whether it's true meditation or gym or whatever it is to whoever you are, that'd probably make you live a lot longer, because you don't carry as much stress, or you don't stress about the small things either.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny you mention that, Jeremy, because I've noticed over the last bunch of months here, like I have several young friends, and by young I mean like in their late 20s.
Okay, I was supposed to have to question you on that.
Well, I just turned 38 like 2 weeks ago, so I have several young friends that that I know through like the shooting sports or that type of arena through the podcast or whatever. But listening to the things that they're concerned with, kind of makes me chuckle, and not like, oh, you silly child kind of chuckle, but just like, oh man, that's so, it's so interesting. They're like at that point in life where they think like everything they do is going to have some sort of huge repercussion on everything else. And, you realize after enough time that there's like nothing you can do that you can't come back from, and other than, maybe falling off a cliff, but there's nothing you can do that that you can't come back from. And people care way less about what you do than you think they do. And your resume in 4 years will not matter whatsoever. It's just amazing the amount of like brain space a lot of concerns took up in my head that never really ended up happening. It's like that Twain quote. I think Twain said like, I spent a lot of time worrying about things that never happened or something like that, or I don't know, but I can't remember the exact quote. But man, it's just amazing when you have like the gift of looking back over a period of time and saying like, wow, none of that shit that I was worried about ever came to happen, ever came to pass.
Yeah. That's so true. So true.
Yeah. Well, so we're coming up on almost 2 hours here that we've been
no shit.
We've been chatting.
Damn.
Yeah, we're over 90 minutes, but
well, I appreciate you letting me steal your show, but
oh heck yeah, man! I'm happy to chat with you. We always have some of the most interesting conversations, so I totally appreciate your time. But we got Vortex Shooter Source coming up. You're managing the the Triple C range on day to day. You've got normal. You got general membership now.
Right.
What's on the horizon for Jeremy?
More of the same, a lot more of it. We do a little bit of behind the scenes stuff for other matches as well through North Texas Multi-Gun, so that's kind of picking up a little bit. And really, it's Triple C. We're fixing to start having some different experiences, as I'll call it, that we're going to offer. Right, let you shoot the 50, shoot a mile long with some 338 Lapuas that we have, and really, that's it, man. Just really trying to focus on not necessarily focus on the grow the services or anything we offer. It's just make the ones we offer better, right? Make it, and that's on the range, on the matches, and online on Shooter Source. Just trying to make everything a little bit better. Try to go out there and just hit home runs every day.
Nice. Yeah, I got a package from Shooter Source the other day that had some nice little gummy bears in there for me.
Oh, yeah. Everybody gets those. Everybody gets those. I don't care what you order. You get a little packet of gummy bears. And somebody asked the other day, or they made a post online, and it's like, whatever started that? What's the joke behind that? And honestly, I don't recall. I do not remember.
Been doing it for so long?
Yeah. It was – I've only been doing that for about a year, and I do not remember. But now I've got the same place I go to, and I'll order those 3,000, a box of 3,000 of those gummy bear packets at a time.
Nice.
And they sit right there on the shipping table, right next to the tape and packing paper and boxes.
I like it. Yeah, it's one of those cool things, man. It's like Dillo dust from LaRue. You know you're going to get gummy bears when you order from Shooter Source.
Oh, dude, man. My wife used to ask me, she goes, don't you need something from LaRue? I was like, are we out of Dillo dust? Yeah. I can just go in there and buy that. I don't need another scope mount that, just so I can get that. But honey, since you need some more of that seasoning, I will go get another scope mount so you can get some of that.
Oh, you're such a sweetheart.
I know, right? I don't know if that answered your question, but just more of the same, really. Just trying to make it make life better. Like you said earlier, bring more value. That's really what I'm focused on right now. It's not about the bottom line per se. It's just bring more value, because I know I've seen that work. and it's doing little things, right? It's the handwritten letters. Everybody gets a handwritten letter about 2 weeks after you buy something, or 3 weeks, and try to do the little things that I've seen work with other companies that I thought was a nice touch, and it's the reason I keep buying from them. So.
Yeah, bringing value seems to be the theme of the show here.
It is. It sounds so cliche and so corny and goofy, but in all honesty, that's the God honest truth. That really is. It's not from a business standpoint. It's just something, and I'm sure you can relate to it. You just feel it's in your gut. It's something that you must do.
Yeah, absolutely. And doing the right thing, and helping others always not only feels good but feels right.
Yeah. It does. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jeremy, we got a match coming up here. I'm pumped to come shoot, man. Vortex Shooter Source 3-gun, and it was a great time last year. Looking forward to shooting it again this year. And man, I'm going to be out there training, working on my dope, working on my burpees.
Dope and burpees.
Yeah, buddy.
Life.
If I got to go prone in your match and pop back up, I'm going to do it so fast.
Dude, you actually do.
Oh, there you go.
Dude, no shit. One of the stages, you're starting behind a stage gun. And before everybody starts cussing me, let me finish. Because I hate stage guns. Everybody knows I do. On the clock, anyway. You're starting behind a stage gun to one of our sponsors. It's a bolt gun. You're going to shoot a 700-yard target. You're going to start standing behind it. You got 15 seconds to get down and break your shot, right? So imagine yourself laying behind the gun. It's in the start position. Literally, I will show you the stage description I wrote yesterday. Once your palms go flat on the ground while you're still prone behind that gun, that is the cue for the RO to go, are you ready? Stand by. Beep.
You're kidding.
I shit you not. That's hilarious that you mentioned that, because I didn't even think about that when we were doing the burpee thing a while ago.
Hell yeah.
But yes, that is it. Now, you don't have to fire that gun if you don't want to. Some people are like, I don't want to touch a 1-pound trigger and then have to go to my pistol or my rifle. That's perfectly fine. That's just the start position of that stage. Now, if you choose to shoot that target, you will get a 10-second bonus. 10 seconds comes off your time for the stage.
Yeah, and if you don't like having a good time, no one's going to make you have a good time.
Yeah. So it's funny. So you will get to do a burpee technically.
Yeah, buddy. I'm going to be practicing for that.
Yep. You're going to jump up and grab, what are we doing on that stage? Jump up, grab your pistol, and you're going to shoot a bunch of red stitch targets.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Now I got my dry fire regimen down.
Heck yeah. And let's just say that the poppers will be on the stage, but it's not in your best interest to shoot them.
Oh.
Think that one through.
Oh, man, you're not going to make me shoot through those skeleton poppers they have, are you?
I'm not going to make you do anything. But it would be in your best interest, too.
Oh, it's evil. I love it. Well, Jeremy, I can't wait, man. I'm looking forward to it. It's always a great time at Triple C. And, man, I want to thank you for coming on the show and for taking over there in the middle.
It is absolutely my pleasure. I always enjoy talking with you, and you're doing a good thing here. And I hope it keeps working out for you and you keep it up, because I do enjoy listening to your podcast, and I love the direction you're heading with it.
Thanks, man. I totally appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple weeks here, and we're going to have a good time. So thank you for being on the show, dude. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Dave. Thank you again.
Hey, before you take off, Jeremy and I figured out our wager, and the loser has to declare the winner, the Burpee King of 3-gun, at the VS3G award ceremony, and post that proclamation on Facebook and Instagram. Also, check out the show notes at 3gunshow.com for links to things that we discussed in the podcast. You can also sign up as a Patreon supporter for the 3-Gun Show or purchase 3-Gun Show apparel, including the brand new hats that just dropped this week. This podcast is also brought to you by Armalite. Through Armalite, I am able to get special pricing for listeners on their line of 3-gun rifles. They have a 13.5 and an 18-inch model, both with Armalite's patented tunable comp, Timney triggers, Luth AR stocks, and they're ready to go right out of the box. If you're more of a build your own rifle kind of person, I have a few of their competition handguards left in 12-inch and 15-inch sizes as well. So when you're in the market for a rifle or components to build your own, just email me, dave@3gunshow.com, and I will hook you up. Anytime you see me on the range, you can check out my rifle. I'm currently rocking the 13.5-inch Shorty 3-gun rifle with a Vortex Optics Viper PST 1-6 on it, which I'm really enjoying. Quick reminder that if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcast content, so you will always get the very latest. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and subscribing to the show. I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll see you on the range.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.